Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I want to welcome you to the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast. But you guys already know that. You've been listening for a while. I appreciate all of you. On today's episode, I want to talk about the fiat world that is all around us. All around me are fiat places. Just kind of impromptu. You guys know the song Mad World by Gary Jules. Actually, I don't think Gary Jules did the original. Let me look. Mad World original artist. It was Tears for Fears. That's right. The Tears for Fears one's really good. I actually wrote, a while ago. I wonder if I could find this. Total. This is how episodes normally start. I just get sidetracked, but you should get a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet while I look this up. Go to bitbox.swiss/BitcoinMadeSimple. Use the promo code BitcoinMadeSimple to get 5% off your order. And if you guys don't know by now, you probably should get your coins off the exchange. And God, who was it that I was, let me see, I was messaging it to somebody. CJ, well, that's who it was, CJ. See if I can find the messages. CJ Wilson. CJ Wilson, if you don't know him, he is the former Major League Baseball pitcher, and he is a big Bitcoiner. I'm sure you guys see. He was on the episode. It was okay. Oh boy! Wow. I'm going to read I'm not going to try and sing it. Oh, okay. Here's it. Children waiting for time with parents, always working, forever hurting. And I feel as though I'm not going to try and sing. I apologize. Reverse. Let's not do that again. I find it kind of troubling. I find it kind of mean. But the fiat system dying is the best news I have seen. I always try to tell you, but it never seems to take. If Bitcoin never existed, it's a very, very sad world. Inflating your world. Sad world. So it's pretty blah, pretty grim. Anyways, how did I get into that? The fiat world all around us. You should check out Movies Plus. Go to mymoviesplus.com. Use promo code Cory, Cory, and get yourself 20% off your annual subscription. You get a whole year for $2 a month. Can't beat that. And it humbles me to see how many of you have used that promo code. So please keep doing it and support us. We're bringing independent film and free speech to the world. All right. So the fiat world all around us. What I mean by that is over the weekend, we went to a hibachi restaurant. And it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. So I don't want this to be construed as in me in any way, shape, or form not enjoying the meal. It was great food. It was a great time. But I'm looking around and I can't help. I was wondering, first of all, little side note, I know, ADD. I'm sitting here talking and I'm like, why am I getting this weird ringing in my ear like every time I speak? I'm like, what's going on here? And then I remember that I heard it last night when I was doing my football show. And then I looked down and this microphone one of these microphones that makes it echo. My kids had left it right next to me, so it was picking up my voice and ringing in my ear. But the fiat world around us, we're in this hibachi restaurant, and my kids are asking about all the different stuff, and I'm explaining, some of this is Japanese culture and, the decorations and blah, blah, blah. But it was like, it was a nice one, but it was like in a strip mall, which is not unique in America. Like that happens everywhere in America. You'll have, a decent restaurant, but it's in the middle of like this blah strip mall. It's just like blah architecture with blah stuff around it, filled with stores that are selling you shit that you don't need, that's too expensive, and you're going to buy it anyways. The old line from Fight Club. We work too hard to, what do we do? To buy shit to pay for shit we don't need with money we don't have to impress, or we use money we don't have to buy shit we don't need to impress people we don't even like. And, it's just, I don't know, it's like such an American thing now. It's so depressing. So I couldn't help but think about the fiat world and how it affects that. And then on top of that, I'm looking at, inside, and you're like, okay, so now we're in this place. How hard would it be for them to turn this into a dentist's office or anything else? And so, just, this is like my eyes. And if you're a Bitcoiner, you maybe have these eyes too, but like you don't pay attention to the details. So I'm sitting there looking at like the stuff on the walls that make it look, like Japanese architecture and everything. And you're like, that could be just peeled off pretty easily. And, it's just ever since I became a Bitcoiner, these realities have started to peel back for me, and peel back the layers of the onion that is the fake fiat world around us, where everything is meant to look a certain way, feel a certain way, while being cheaper and also giving you less. Another case in point is Halloween this year, trick-or-treating. I snuck into my kids' candy because, they're not going to eat all that candy and they don't need it. And I opened up a Reese's peanut butter cup, and I swear to God, it was like halfway between like the normal Reese's size that you remember, like an individual wrapped up Reese's cup. It was like halfway between that and those little ones that like are in candy dishes that are all wrapped in foil. And I was like, that's really small. Like, did I grab like the wrong one? Nope. Back to the shrinkflation. So then you look at restaurants, you're sitting there looking at everything. You're like, how much of this stuff is just cheap bullshit on top of everything to give you this fake experience? It's almost like the Disney World effect. Don't get me wrong. Disney World can be magical and blah, blah, blah. But like, you realize how thin the veneer is on all of that stuff. Like it's, my favorite thing is so funny. We went to Disneyland 2018, I think. It was just around or before when the newest Incredibles movie was coming out. And they had an Incredibles roller coaster. And I'm like, wow. Like, that's amazing. They made a Incredibles roller coaster, and we show up. This is the one in California, by the way. We go over to it, and I'm like, oh, no, this is just a roller coaster that's been here for 50 years and has been rebranded. We went to Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And, they had this roller coaster. It was called the Jolly Rancher Remix. It was all painted up and looked, like a Jolly Rancher colors. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then you find out that it used to just be called something else. And that's pretty common in, theme parks, is they're always like, updating things a little bit. But why isn't anything built to last anymore? And it's not even built to last. I mean, like, obviously the structures are still there. Why aren't things built to last from, value of, like, what value it brings to people? Like, why is it so shallow, or why are our tastes so shallow that we just constantly have to, like, I need something new. It needs to be new. It needs to be new. Can you take that turd and just polish it and make it new? God, it's just so annoying. Same with, like, baseball stadiums and football stadiums and hockey arenas, and they build them, and then 25 years later, teams are like, if you don't give me more taxpayer money to build a new one that we own 100% of, then we're gonna leave town. And it's like, but then you look at a place like Fenway Park up in Boston, the classic stadium, and you're like, God, if any of these stadiums were built with a vision and then maintained, then it could be something like that in the long run, where you're like, so cool to see that architecture from back then, or this or that. And nothing is built to last anymore, and it's so frustrating. And it just leads to this degradation of society, where everything is so short-sighted. Nobody's thinking long-term. Nobody's thinking of the big picture. Everybody's just like, instant gratification. Make me feel good now. Make me feel good now. I saw this meme where it was like, feel depressed, buy something to make myself feel better. It arrives, feel temporarily better, feel depressed. And it's just cycle. Just keeps going around. And yeah, we're just placing value in the wrong things. So it's like, it starts with, nothing's more valuable. Like, there's no inanimate objects that are that valuable. Then there's, like, things that you should put some time and care into, like homes or, buildings, things like that you want them to last. Christmas lights, for example. We're getting close to Christmas. Every year I have to go buy all new Christmas lights because I think they're only made to last 1 year. I know that's by design. I know that's part of this Fiat system that's so effed up. I can't, and to get back to, like, the stadium thing, it drives me nuts. So these stadiums, for example, the Pittsburgh Steelers play at Heinz Field, or Acrisure Stadium is what it's called now, but Heinz Field is what it'll forever be in my mind. So they play at Heinz Field. This stadium, they said, we need a new stadium in, like, the late 90s. Them and the Pirates said, we need a new stadium. Now, granted, the old stadium they were in, Three Rivers Stadium, was an outdated, like, really, really stupid model. That it was one of those pure, like, circle stadiums that was converted between football and baseball with AstroTurf. Just a really poor concept. There were a handful of them around the country, and they aged quickly, and they needed replaced. But had they stayed in the stadium before that they left in 1970, then maybe that would be a classic stadium now. And that one opened 114 years ago. This would be a pretty cool stadium, probably, if they would have kept up with it, done renovations, remodeled, taken care of it. So anyways, they move into the Three Rivers Stadium. That's a dump from, like, from the jump. It's just a dump from the jump. They're in there from 1970. They leave after the 2000 season. So they're only in there 30 years. But they threaten, if we don't get a new stadium, we're the poor football and baseball team. We don't have enough money to buy a stadium. How could we ever do this? How do people buy houses? Just go through the same system. Now you owe somebody some money and you make payments on it. Tough life. If you want to own the system, if you want to own the stadium, that's what you got to do. Get a BitBox02 hardware wallet. Go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off. Get your coins off the exchange. But no, what they do is they hold the cities ransom. They say, do you want to lose your football team? Do you want to lose your baseball team? Then give us taxpayer money and fund the stadium. So then the taxpayers pay for it. And then the football team, the owners of the football team and baseball teams and different teams own the building. Legitimately own the building. Have it on the balance sheet as an asset that they own. Can you imagine? It'd be like this would never happen in the Bitcoin world, but just a Bitcoin perspective, it would be like, say you had a moderately successful podcast that was on the internet, and you're like, I'm going to leave and stop talking about Bitcoin and move off the internet and only speak in my backyard unless you fund my endeavor by giving me a bunch of Bitcoin, and then I can just put it on my balance sheet. It's not a perfect analogy, but you get the point. They're taking from the poor and giving to the rich, and that really bothers me, and not really something I'm a fan of, and I don't think anybody in the Bitcoin space is. So, yeah, rewind all the way to being in a hibachi restaurant, and that's what I'm looking at, is like how much stuff is just veneer, is just the facade that we see. If you've ever been on a Hollywood set and been in like the facades, they're really fun, and it's a really good example of how easily we can be tricked. I don't know if anybody watches How I Met Your Mother, but it's on 20th Century Fox's lot, is where they shot that show, and you can go to McLaren's pub, and we're up into Ted's apartment, but it's just the exterior. The interiors were all shot on sound stages, but they have it's really cool. They have this little part where a lot of studios have, where they just have streets that look like different cities. The New York section, they'll have Upper West Side versus Financial District versus this versus that. But it's really funny because you're just standing there. You're like, I am on this street, and then you walk through the door. So I did that. We were we were there the one time, I forget for, and I got to take my wife and son, and we were able to walk around on it, and we got our family picture in front of it, and then you go down the steps. It's real funny. You just go down the steps and you walk through the door to where McLaren's pub should be, and it's literally just 2x4s, framework all the way up on both sides. In fact, they have signs for other productions that are going on, for extras and production crew and stuff, where the bathrooms are, and one of the quickest ways to get to the bathroom was to go through one of the doors. So there's a sign at one spot hey, go to the bathroom through here. So yeah, you wonder how much of the world is like that. And yeah, it's sad, but I know that Bitcoin fixes this. I should probably also tell you guys about Unsinkable, my movie about the Titanic, that we premiered it last Wednesday at the Three Rivers Film Festival in Pittsburgh. And it was pretty cool. It was weird. I've mentioned it before, but this movie, we'd been working on it. When I first was approached from my producing partner about it, it was 7 years ago. And in your mind, you're like, oh, this is going to happen really quick. And here we are 7 years later. Pandemic certainly played a part of that. But there were, it's just hard to do, and a lot of work goes into it. And here you are at the premiere. And yeah, it was fun. Got to take my wife on the red carpet. I try not to get wrapped up into that vanity stuff, but it was a fun night to get her and I out of the house and go to something different. And she's been a huge part of it as well, because she's been there the whole way, supporting, saying, yeah, keep doing this crazy dream. So yeah, nobody wants to hear about, I'm not trying to be like braggadocious. I'm just telling you guys about it. And I hope you guys get to see the movie eventually. We don't exactly know the distribution plan yet, and I'm a big part of that. So obviously, I know better than anybody where this is going, but I can't say anything at the moment, and we haven't completely decided. But it's a good movie, and it's about the inquiry into the sinking of the Titanic, and when the people give their testimony, and it's the real testimony that took place in the U.S. Senate. When the people give their testimony, it flashes back to their experiences on the Titanic, and I mean, the opening of the movie is the night that the Titanic goes down, and you get to see her in all her glory, listing on an angle, the ship, the steel in the ship buckling under the pressure, and so it's I like to think it's a pretty good movie, and I think you guys will like it. It's not attempting to be Titanic 2, James Cameron, sequel. It's not a love story that's wrapped around. It is, really the inquiry into the sinking of the Titanic and what happened through all of this, and how the special interests of the rich and famous were taken care of before the interests of the poor, which is a common theme through history. So anyways, but yeah, you guys should also, I know this is a quick one, but I realized I was like, oh my God, I didn't record on Friday. I've just been super busy. I know I'm so busy. I've been super busy. And so here it is, Tuesday. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get something out. I have a bunch of things on the top of my head that I want to talk about. And I'm sure between now and Friday, I will have enough things crop back up to the top of my head that I'll be able to crank out another one and get back on pace and on schedule. But I appreciate all of you, and I'd appreciate it if you go to bitbucks.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use the promo code Bitcoin Made Simple and get 5% off your order, and keep your keys to yourself. Get them off the exchange. That's actually what I'll probably talk about next time, because I saw an unfortunate incident of a Bitcoiner who lost their Bitcoin, and hardware wallet's the way to go. So do that and secure your keys and sleep safely and soundly at night. And I will talk to you guys later.